Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we're continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and the Ukraine. Well, within the last 24 hours, the head of the Ukrainian Air Force has been sacked by Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, we believe this is also a political issue. We have heard that there has been some political infighting that is obviously taking place between Zelensky's supporters, and certain elements within the military. Specifically, in this case, the head of the Ukrainian Air Force. Now, the other issue is the fact that a Ukrainian F-16 was downed over the combat zone, over the Ukraine. There is a possibility that that aircraft was shot down by actually the Ukrainian Air Defense Network, possibly shot down by a Patriot missile battery. So we're still trying to find out exactly what occurred in the loss of that aircraft. Maybe we'll eventually know. Maybe we will eventually won't know. But the important thing right now is what is happening within the Ukrainian military. Things for the Ukrainian military are much worse than what is being projected by Western media and obviously the state Ukrainian media as well. The situation right now that is ongoing in the Donbass with this Russian Donbass offensive is much, much serious than anyone in the Ukrainian state is letting on. Now, the Ukrainians continue to try and draw attention to the Kursk incursion. It is now glaringly obvious the Russian military is perfectly okay with holding those Ukrainian formations. 10 to 20,000 Ukrainian troops committed to the Kursk incursion. But ultimately, those Ukrainian troops, which probably would have done a better job in service to the Ukrainian military, operating in the Donbass, are essentially isolated in the Kursk Oblast, northwest, northeast of Sumy. And there is a very good chance that once the Russians collapse the defensive lines around Pokrovsk, that they will then turn their attention to the Kursk incursion and then destroy those Ukrainian forces in that pocket. But more importantly is what is going to happen in the eastern Donbass. What is going to happen with this ongoing Russian offensive? What will the Russians do when they seize control of Pokrovsk? Are they going to again turn south and envelop Ukrainian forces running from Volhodar towards Kurhov and other formations in this area? We're already starting to see the Russians position forces for the encirclement of the Volhodar fortress. Now, the Russians have made some attempts in the past at attacking Volhodar. This is a fairly built-up area of older Soviet-era apartment blocks. Let's go over to the actual other map here where the viewer can kind of see the disposition of Volhodar. So there it is. Again, on the surface, it doesn't look like a very large town. but it has a number of very large Soviet-era apartment blocks that have been interconnected through bunkers. And this has been a very challenging nut for the Russian army to crack. But if the Russians are able to seize control of Pokrovsk, it is going to eliminate a key transportation hub. It's going to eliminate the ability of the Ukrainian army to reinforce and continue operations in the Donbass. And we could ultimately see the general collapse of the Ukrainian army within the vicinity of Donbass. And what I'm referring to is running just to the south-southwest of Donetsk, all the way up to Pokrovsk, and then we'll just head north all the way up towards Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, and then east towards Seversk. We could see the Russians seize control of Pokrovsk and then conduct a multi-pronged pivot both to the northeast towards Kramatorsk, and an envelopment operation towards the south as well, enveloping Volhedar and some of these other key fortified little towns that exist in this area. But again, more importantly, the Ukrainian military is incredibly concerned. Kiev is incredibly concerned about what is happening in this ongoing Donbass offensive. Look, there is in excess of 150,000 Russian troops, possibly upwards to 170, pushing 200,000 Russian troops that are committed to this Donbass offensive. It is a serious, serious threat to the ability of the Ukrainian military to continue the war effort. If we see a general collapse, if we see the Russians rapidly pivot to the north, seizing control of frontline cities and rear area cities such as Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, things could get out of hand very quickly. Now look, we've talked about the Russian goal or the Russian war aim is to essentially wrap things up by the end of 2026. That, we believe, is the Russian goal right now. Again, war of attrition, collapse the Ukrainian military, roll things up by 2026. Given the nature of the conflict, we have to start asking the question: are the Russian war goals, are they going to expand? Now, what does that look like? Does it include all territory east of the Dnieper River? Does it involve a Russian operation at some point to cross the Dnieper River and seize control of Odessa? We can't rule these items out right now, given what's happening in this Donbass offensive. This is a serious, serious issue for the Ukrainian military, and it's really not being talked about in Western media. Most of the media attention right now is towards this really irrelevant Kursk incursion. But the fact is, the Ukrainian military is in very big trouble in the Donbass, and it's just not getting very much attention right now. The casualty rates for the Ukrainian military are absolutely off the charts horrendous. Not so much the fact that this is caused by Russian ground forces. A lot of the casualties that we're seeing being inflicted on the Ukrainian military is from the Russian Air Force. Glide bombs, Iskander missiles, other cruise missiles, Kh-69s, Lancet drones. And unfortunately for the Ukrainians, they're kind of getting the taste of their own medicine in what's happening in the Kursk incursion. The Russian drone effort is very active. The Russian Air Force is very active, including the use of helicopter gunships. It's very, very difficult for the Ukrainians currently operating in the Kursk Oblast. Very difficult situation. So that covers it for today. We will have more as we continue to cover the ongoing war. Thanks for joining us. As always, Have a good day.